mean, Ivan is like so amazingly talented in any kind of movement. He can learn anything in 5 minutes. It's true. It's true. Anything. So when he started dancing salsa, he got into the best company in the US at the time for salsa too. And he actually got a job. Like, having danced salsa, 3 months or 4 months or something like that?
It was really, really funny because I went to the audition. I was just starting to dance salsa. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. But I wasn't really, it's like if I'm auditioning for, I don't know, Broadway. And, I don't know how to sing and I don't know how to act, let's say.
When I met Ivan, he wasn't living in the best circumstances and he didn't have the most comfortable life. But what really inspired and kind of really impressed me about him was this desire to dance. And that's all he wanted to do. He didn't care about anything else. He didn't care if he had a cent. He didn't care where he was sleeping. He didn't care what he was eating. He's like, God will provide. But all he wanted to do was dance. And it didn't matter what he was dancing, but he really wanted to dance. I think he's really brave. I think that's I don't know. It makes me kind of want to cry a little bit because it taught me so much about being brave. I wasn't ever brave because I didn't have to be. Because all the doors that I ever had to have open for me were always cracked. So to see somebody who's brave, whose doors are not open, I mean, that was super powerful. And then the other thing is that I guess surviving is also an important thing. Being willing to do whatever it takes to do what you love. And he's a moral person. If he were an immoral person, then that would be a problem. But he's a moral person, so the things that he does the right way. I really appreciate that.
I mean, when I start dancing solo, by myself. I used to do boleadoras, which is Argentine folklore. It's pretty much 2 strings with 2 balls, and you do different things with it. When I think I was 10 years old when I started learning. Then I was supposed to do my first performance, and I was so scared that I started crying. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not doing it. So my parents okay, you're not doing it. And I was rehearsing. I was with the whole group, the whole company, and me in the middle trying to do that. I was really sure what I have to do. But you're 10 years old. It's a little scary. It's yeah, okay, get your clothes. And no, I'm not going. Okay, I don't do it. And then I think it passed a year or something. That then there was a trip with the company to go to some place, and I wanted to go with them. And this way, it was a little sneaky from my parents, and they were like, well, only members of the company can travel, so you cannot come with us unless you are a member of the company, and that means that you have to perform. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, but remember, this time you cannot go back. I mean, you have to do it. Once you're there, you have to do it. You cannot say no. Okay, so I do it. So I started the rehearsal, do all of that, and went on traveling. And I remember when I performed, it was really, really late. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. I think I was already almost 12 by the time. So I started at 10, I stopped for a year, 11, almost 12, yeah. And that was my first performance. And since then, I started mostly doing that. I don't know. There is something about being smart, being sporty in a woman that I like. Because what I mean, first of all, you're intelligent, right? You're really smart. So you're educated and on and on and on. And second of all, for sure you have a nice body because you work out.
I started dancing in LA actually in
Los Angeles.
1997, which was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But and it was a strange, it was the U.S. had a slightly different tango culture, I guess, maybe than they have in Europe. I'm not sure how it was at that time here, but people there did a lot of it was more showy, and people wanted to do more kind of show stuff.
LA style.
And I kind of had starts and stops because at that time, from when I was, I think, 18 to when I was 25, I moved continents 6 times. Yeah. Literally almost every year I was moving from from the US to Europe, back to the US, back to Europe, back to the US. When I first moved to Europe, I went to France and I attended Sciences Po in Paris, which is a grande école, and I did a course in political science there. And then I went back because I had to finish university. So I finished university, and then I was in the US for like a year and a half, and then I went to the London School of Economics, and I did a master's degree there for a year and a little bit more, maybe a year and a half. And then when I was finished, I went back to the US, and I was in the US for 6 or 7 months, and then I went to Croatia, and I lived in Croatia for a year, and then I went to New York. So it was literally like all my possessions were in 2 bags, and those 2 bags were going with me on one airplane and then returning back. But when I came to New York, it was like, great, I can finally start being more consistent about dancing. Already in LA, I fell in love with it. So I didn't actually get really serious until I got to New York. And
when you met me.
I guess, to be honest, I guess when I met you was the first time that I realized that being a dancer and being an artist was a career possibility. For me, my life was never like that. For me, everything was super easy. Like, I did really well in school. I never had to study. So it was like one door was opening up to another. I played tennis. I did well. So I got scholarships. Great. I was skiing. So I did well. So it was like I never had to make a choice. So I think for me to become a dancer and to make my life devoted to this was like a huge choice. It was, I guess, the first real choice I ever made. So it was a really big deal. And it's really all due to him, because had I not met him, I'd probably still be, slaving away in some law firm in New York City, building power plants.
When I moved to the States, I was 17 years old. So I moved there, I knew like one person. Pretty much. And so then once I started doing salsa and all of that, I didn't know many people. So what I did, it was like I knew that they had, milongas. So I started going to the milongas, and of course there are some Argentinians there. So I started to have some friends. That's where I met Sarah in the tango world. That she was already dancing for a while, right? I went to the milonga. At that time, it was South Street Seaport. It was a milonga, ¿cómo se dice? Al aire libre.
Outdoors.
Outdoors. There you go. And it was free, so everybody used to go there, and it was really nice because you could eat something. And we used to go with my friends, pretty much to go see
pick up girls.
I wouldn't say pick up girls, but
just see them.
To enjoy the beauty of. Yes. And of course, we used to go all the time, so we knew everybody in the community. And honestly, we were the younger dancers there in a way. Everybody was older mostly. So whenever somebody young came, for us, it was like, right away we got really attracted to it.
To it?
To them. So I saw her. Blonde. I love blondes.
Okay.
It's my favorite. Always been. Actually, my parents used to say that when I was little, they used to say that one day I'm gonna marry a blonde girl and I'm gonna live in the United States.
Wow.
I don't know where they come from, but I guess it was a pretty strong thought than happening. But I always liked blondes. So I saw her and I'm like, I have to dance with her. So the funny thing is, like, I have this good friend of mine, Jose, and I sent him
to test her.
to see what's going on. So then he came, he's like, yes, go ahead, it's all good. So I went to dance with her.
And actually, really funny, I broke my nose 3 times.
Oh, are you gonna? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is a funny story. So when I breathe really heavily.
Now she controls the better.
Now I'm more aware of it. I didn't know that was the case, but I breathe with like a little bit laboriously, especially if I breathe through my nose. So when we were dancing, I was breathing, and Ivan thought that I was breathing.
Because of my beautiful dancing and embrace.
You know, so he's like, this girl really wants me, you know?
It's like, wow.
Like,
And trust me, I haven't even done anything interesting yet. So imagine if I do.
yeah.
Now, another time, you know, I didn't know much, about tango. I used to perform tango, but like in terms of like only a choreography. And I didn't even know what my partner was doing, and there was no idea about leading and following. So when I started going into the milongas, I was like, okay, I know what I want to do, but what about her? I need to actually lead her. So I didn't know much. So we started dancing. I don't know if it was good or bad. I have no idea about what happened, but I really liked her. So I started, in a way, kind of following her.
Yeah, so I didn't really want to have anything to do with him actually, because I was like, I just broke up with a boyfriend of 6 years, a year before that. And I thought, okay, I already got into this because I got into Colombia and it's a really important school and people were like, oh my God, this is great, it's amazing. And the law program is really difficult. So I thought, okay, I'll just devote my attention to studying and do a good job. So I didn't really have any interest in meeting anybody or dating anybody or anything like that. So I didn't even give him my phone number because I didn't want him to call me. So
And I would ask her, can I have your number? Or, you know, we can see each other. And she was kind of like all nice, but really like until they're like keeping me away. It's like, well, I can give you my email. Like, yes, something, right? And I used to send her emails to her. At that time, I didn't really speak much English. So for me to like, you know, talk to her and kind of, you know, it was really hard. And writing, it was even harder.
So he would write me these emails and, you know, it was the beginning of the icon. You know, when you do smiley faces? Yeah. So it was like, it would be like a sentence and a smiley face.
A lot of faces because I couldn't really express it in different ways. So I had to put the face.
Expressing himself with the smiley faces in different ways, and then it would always be in the email be J-E, J-E,
Which is in Spanish is ha, ha, ha,
But
ha.
I didn't speak Spanish at the time, so I was like, yeah, exactly. So I was like, what is this? Yeah. What's wrong with this guy? Who does that? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. You know? It was so bad. And he would send me these emails at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, well, you know, he must have internet at home. So maybe he's not, you know, that weird. But I didn't know that actually he didn't really have a place that he was living at the time. He was kind of like not living anywhere.
Yeah.
And so the reason why he was writing me 3 o'clock in the morning is because at that time on Times Square, there was a 24-hour internet cafe. And it's a place where he could go at night when he didn't have any place to sleep. So that's basically how it started. And then little by little, some people that I knew, we had some friends in common. And
Of course. I knew everyone in the community at the time.
and so I learned a little bit about Ivan, and the more I got to know about him, the more I started to think like, wow, this person is so amazing, and he's so different from me. I mean, we have nothing to do with each other whatsoever.
Literally nothing.
Like nothing, like interest-wise, culturally, background-wise. I'm older than him by almost 6 years. Experience-wise, like we were completely on opposite ends of the spectrum.
So it's perfect.
Yeah, but you know,
It was really hard. It's really hard at the same time.
really hard because we had nothing in common. It was like, and communication. At the time
we didn't have anything.
we didn't
in
have. Our communication was so difficult because I spoke Italian pretty well at the time, and so I would speak to him in Italian, and he would speak back to me in Spanish, and then little by little, I just started using more and more Spanish words.
And then with me, my English got a little better, so it was a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, but in the end, we really found that what we had in common, and I think this is probably the most important thing in relationships, are values. Like, even though we're both kind of like, well, I don't know, I guess we're a little bit quirky and we're both really open-minded, but at the same time, we're very conservative.
But we also understood that a relationship, is never perfect anyway. So you have to work through it.
Yeah,
You know,
but
you
we
have to
also, I mean, we fought so much
yeah.
about really simple things like,
really celebrate.
you know,
I like the burger with sweet cheese.
Yeah.
Well, but why? American cheese is better. No, I like it with sweet cheese.
yeah, or like
and we will
cultural
fight about
values.
silly
Like,
things.
you know, for me, going out with male friends was perfectly normal. For Ivan,
I wasn't
me going out
comfortable
with
with
male
it.
friends was completely insane.
Yeah. Now I
Why do you want to
understand.
go out with a guy if, you know, the only purpose, like, men and women can't be friends? You know, what do you mean men and women can't be friends?
But again, I understand it's not just a cultural thing. I'm not saying that all the Argentinians are like that because it's not true. But
But
I
for
was,
you, like
I-
where you come from?
a little bit, but more than anything, it's like I was really young. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not just the culture. I was really, really young, and it was the first time that I'm in a country that I don't know anyone. You know, trying to survive in a way. And when I met you, I was 19.
19.
I was 19. That was 2 years already that I was in the US. So, you know, that makes a big part of it.
But yeah, but I think what's really, we survived a lot of really big things in our relationship, and I think that just makes us much stronger. Because now we know why we're together. Like, we know what makes us, like, what brought us together. We know how to work on stuff. And even if sometimes
I think we have fight so many.
disagreements-
We have fight of everything already. There is nothing else to fight.
Yeah,
Anyway, yes.
yeah, but we're both equally stubborn.
Yeah, that's right.
So neither person ate the other one. You know, because sometimes in relationships, like one
This
person
one is stronger.
absorbs the other one. That happily didn't happen to us because we're both really stubborn.
For me, for example, on my instinct to do things, to move in a particular way, I don't have to think about it. It just feels that way, and I just have to do it. Whatever the music is telling me, and I just go. But if I have to explain it, you know, I cannot just go for how I feel. It's like, oh, you know, I'm doing
Just do
this
it like this.
because I feel this
Yeah.
way. Yes, but not. You need to be able to explain to somebody that cannot understand him just by watching. He needs to know what actually the body is doing. So that's when Sarah comes to, you know,
Yeah,
to
because
try
for
to
me,
think
the
about it.
path to movement was really different than for Ivan. Ivan was born with it. His parents were dancers. He's been watching people dancing since he was in his mom's belly. Like,
Yeah.
he's been around dance all the time. So his body just knows what to do. Like, you show him a movement and he will just do it exactly how it should be. And even if he sees a movement that somebody does and that person does it like mechanically incorrectly, he will do it correctly. Like, he won't copy the incorrect portion. He'll do the movement and correct it. It's really crazy. It's insane. And my body was not like that. I mean, I had done a lot of sports, but I also did a lot of sitting, and I was a lot in my head. So to bring my awareness to my body, I worked a lot, and I had to work as an adult a lot. So I have a completely different relationship to movement than Ivan does, and it was really instrumental in the teaching for us, especially in teaching, because we noticed that we couldn't teach people tango. It didn't make sense to teach them tango because if from the beginning we had to teach them tango, we had to correct the same things in every step. So what we first had to teach them was how to move.
And that was a really big thing because
Big understanding, like a big
because imagine if somebody's sitting on their office for hours and hours and hours, and you tell them just move normally, naturally, and just do that. What's natural for them to be sitting on the computer like this, and this is the position of their bodies.
You can't say natural.
You cannot say natural.
Move on the dance floor. Yeah.
So then, what you have to, say in a way is like, let's try to find what's more efficient for the body, and that's what we try to find from
Let's
body
give you
movement.
freedom first.
Yes.
Let's give you
Try
freedom.
to figure out how your body can move better. To then eventually try to say, okay, now let's try to make this shape from your natural movement or more efficient way of moving to then make it look like tango.
Because shape in the end is just a consequence of the internal work. And the internal work has to be consistent. And if there is internal work, sometimes You watch people and they have moved with no internal energy.
They do the
They
shapes.
make no energy in their movement. So first they have to make energy, and then that energy has to move. And once the energy moves, then you can make shapes.
That's it was the biggest thing for us in general when we transitioned from the US, that we used to have our own school and everything, into now Europe. There is the festival, there is the workshops, and people don't get to see you all the time. They're not there with you. Well, one of the things that is important for us to change, and we wanted to do, first of all, is our videos, right? Because it's a way for people to have consistency and keep listening the same over and over again. And besides, it's like the information how we give it now, it have to be
Different.
It's harder because it's like on one entire class I could say many things, because I know that tomorrow you're coming back, and even if you didn't get something, you will repeat it again, you will hear it again, so at some point it will stay, it will stop. But if it happens that the person I see her today and then it takes months for them to see me again, it's hard for them to retain more information. So what we have to give is to give almost like a small doses of really important information, instead of giving a lot more information that we used to give.
Yeah, so for example, in New York, when we had our class, the course was 6 months long, and then people would repeat it sometimes 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
The same course.
Same people, same couples, everybody.
And those were the people that really had excellent results, because it's like their absorption rate. Our classes never had levels. We always had, sometimes professionals and beginners who had never danced in the same
Never done
course.
before in the same class.
Same class. So the professional would retain, 70-80% of the information. The beginner would retain 50%. The second time around, the professional would get 98% of the material. The beginner would get 40%. So it's just like you really have to build people information in layers. They need to have a foundation. They need to have a framework. They need to understand the universe. You have to build the universe for them.
So that's right.
Then they know how to plug in information. Because if they have no framework, then they have all these, and this is the biggest problem I think today in kind of teaching and understanding of tango, is that a lot of people have pieces, and these pieces are floating.
They're not connected.
They're not connected. They are something here and something here, and then they have a Franken dance.
So it's like,
And somehow they discover the real by themselves, but this takes years.
it takes years.
Takes years.
Yes.
And there are a lot of inefficiencies.
And a lot of them don't discover this.
Yes.
Because they give up.
Yeah.
And this is why for us, our way of learning, it was really, really important. She was already, older. We wanted to work doing this. I was already working on it. For me, it was anyway easy, but I wanted to be really good really quick.
I mean, we had an urgency. It wasn't like, we were 7-year-olds in BA with our parents going to the Milonga learning. It was like,
Yes.
I was 25 when I really started to dedicate myself to learning.
Yeah. So it was to more than start trying to figure out what were the different things, because I would go to this class and this guy would say, you have to bend your knees more. Okay. And I was really, really good student. Whatever you say, I do it. I bend my knees more. Then I go to the other one and say, no, straight your legs more. And I'm like, I just came from here. Okay, he say that, I'm gonna do it. And I straight my legs more. And then like that will happen with different things all the time. And yes, as much as I was good, getting the information, it was conflicted. So it's like, okay, wait. These 2 guys, they're really good dancers. Let me see really what they're telling me. So then we went to try to figure out, when this guy is bending, he was telling me, you have to bend here because it's helping me to create, more of a rotation when I push against the ground. Right? But for me, I will only think about, I have to bend.
Like, you need to know why.
Yes, the reason.
It wasn't enough for us to be descriptive, and we noticed that a lot of teaching that we were exposed to was descriptive. Like when we took a class, it was left leg, right leg, turn to the left, change way. Great, I can see that. I don't need somebody to tell me what leg to walk with. I can see that.
Yeah.
What I need to understand is why I'm doing it. And like why, if somebody tells me, no step here, step 3 centimeters over.
What's the difference? Why step a little
What's the
here and a
difference
little
in
bit
this
here?
step? And
So figuring out the things that they were, not thinking about the things that they were different, we would try to focus more on like, what is this person doing the same as this person? Because somehow they dance really differently, completely different styles, but they are both really good.
And this started to get us thinking about, first of all, the question why, and then that brought us to the difference between what's style and what's technique. And when we started to understand that technique was not style, the style was not technique, even though many times style is taught as technique. That's when we started to kind of
See things more clear. It was
that there were unifying links between all the people who danced well. And it really wasn't enough to go to class and listen to what they were saying.
no.
Because a lot of the time, even really great dancers were talking about their dance in a way that did not match their dance. So their description of what they did, when you really looked at what they were doing in terms of
wasn't the same.
geometry or their body mechanics, was not the same.
I think it happened mostly, I don't know, on our experience, our career, it developed really, really different from many other people. For us, it's been that we start learning and right away we start teaching.
Well, not right away, maybe
Not right away, two or three years.
after.
Other people, they start learning, they start performing, they start traveling the world, and then somebody at some point say, oh, I want to learn what you do. It's like, okay, so what did I do? Let me see. So then they didn't do the process of trying to understand what is it that they were doing. They were dancers. And some of them were more natural dancers. You know, it was easier for them, so they become good faster. Other ones, they've been dancing for many, many, many years. But not many of them, they start thinking about, okay, what I'm really doing, for me to be able to explain it. There is not a
Didactic tradition in tango, really.
no.
I mean, if you go and you learn with the guys who were dancing in the 50s, the process is something like this. You go to the class and the person shows you a step, and then if you can copy the step, then they show you another step. If you can't copy the step, they'll say,
Okay, keep doing it, keep trying.
Come back next week.
Because it happens a lot when you go to the milonga these days. You know, for us it still is work. You know.
At this point in our careers, when we go to the milonga, we can never really relax completely.
I mean, you do. You know, a little more than when you have
If we
to
sit
perform.
with friends and we talk, but if we're dancing, it's really difficult to just be like, because people are watching you all the time, and you're constantly being, I wouldn't say evaluated, but there's definitely like a voyeuristic or an additional attention when you dance. Which it's our job.
It's hard for me because for me, my job is so important that I have a different way to enjoy things. And it's really different from her. Really, really different.
We want to know about that.
I believe, and at the same time, I know it's not possible, but that's my goal, in like perfection, right? I love things like really precisely in a particular way. So as much as I can go to the milonga and enjoy, you know, to hang out with friends and dance with different things, I'm rehearsing every time.
He's always working.
I'm always working. Even sometimes, let's say, if I'm start eating and I'm not thinking about anything or I'm not having a conversation, sometimes some things come into my head. And I'm doing things. For example, tomorrow if we have to do a class, I'm already thinking like, what's the class? This particular step I have to create. I have to make sure that I'm gonna create. So I started doing things on my head.
He's always working.
And it's really hard to disconnect.
He's never just sitting
I'm
there.
always doing something. Yeah, actually, last night I could not sleep much because I was like, okay, I wanted to find a better way how to explain the turns that they're a little more progressive. I don't want to jump right away into like really hard turns. So as much as I'm here, I'm always working, and it's really hard for me to stop it. Same thing with choreography. When we are building a song, that's start to
And you can't
work.
disturb him. Like, I know already the look that he has when he is working. Yeah, he's even if he has a computer, like there's like a blank expression, and you know that he's all the time.
And that's what I think. I don't know. It helped me to progress or to find like what I want really quickly, because I'm always trying to see myself somehow in my mind, like how it should be the movement. Like if you can create it in your head, then it's a question just to put it on the body. But to put it on the body, because I mean, it takes me 3 times. I do it, and that's the end of it. So then, if I can do that, if I really have it here, then it's really easy to do other things. So coming back to the milonga, yes, I'm enjoying it. But what I enjoy is that this is kind of that there is no mistakes. It was flawless.
Yeah.
Regardless who I dance with. That's what I'm looking for. Unless I'm really, really tired and then I don't care and then I'm doing it because I'm working or whatever. But if I'm really enjoying, my joy comes from like something really precise, with no mistakes, with no interruption on that connection. That's
With
for
the
me.
freedom. I like the rehearsal a lot because I find that's where I can really be creative, because creative process has a intellectual component to it. There's a thinking and a developing of an idea that you want to put into practice, and you can only really do that in a rehearsal. In the milonga, it's difficult. In the milonga, whatever comes up is what there is. Like whatever you already have, that's the only thing that you can do. But in a rehearsal, you can be aspirational, and really being aspirational and having some forward movement is what I want. I always want to be better, and I don't feel like I can get better in a milonga. I can have more experiences, which maybe cumulatively make me better. But that clear work, the process of work, for me happens in the rehearsal.
So you need to be really open to have different information. Don't close yourself on a particular way of doing things. There is many different ways, and we're human. We're all different, and there is no one way better than the other one. It could be more efficient, less efficient, with more limitation, less limitation. But open for sure. That's the first one.
And then active. It's not possible to learn how to dance if you don't work with your body and with your mind.
Yes, and you don't have to be active in the sense that they all have to become professional dancers. Some people, they just their goal for dance is for them to get a little bit better so then they can enjoy better. But
within their goal parameter, they need to be active. So for me, the result in my student is important. I mean, it's good to have. It's nice. It's a sense of accomplishment where your students have good results. But for me, the real enjoyment is teaching is the process.
yes,
Is working with somebody with their process. I mean, there's nothing better really than when someone understands something or they feel it in their body, and you see it in their face and you see it in their expression. It's like a light bulb goes on. It's like boom.
and that's
Like, oh, and you're like,
that's the energy. That's the energy that you get back. Because in teaching you give a lot, and you give and you give and you give and you give. So if from the other side there is no an active part that is doing anything for it, to either work for it or they're not even paying attention, they don't ask questions, then you're just giving and you don't receive.
Yeah.
But on the moment that light bulb that's when you get in. For us, the best experience has been more than anything. Besides, if it tango, they were becoming better tango dancers or not. It's just through tango, you end up teaching them or giving them tools and different experience or different things to think for their personal life. Like for example, it gives you a little bit of confidence when you learn something. And a really interesting one we had at a student of ours. He came, and you will see him. He was really shy, really shy. He used to come all with his shirt, long shirt, and he wasn't really sure.
And like all buttoned up.
He wouldn't say anything, not even a question. He come, you try to talk to him, and he was like, okay. And to see him now, well, at least a few years ago, the change he did, and not just in his tango, he became a really good tango dancer. But you will see him, he will enter, into the, into the
somebody
studio.
would like barely dare show himself at the door.
He will be like, he start going to the gym. He cut his hair differently. Then he bought, I don't know if a car, a motorcycle, shirt. He started going out with girls and all of the things. It was all like really, it changed completely.
And he made a positive impact in his life, not just in his dance.
So besides that, yes, he became a better dancer or not, it was like on the end, through the dance, in this case we have choose tango, it helped you to help people somehow.
Yeah, but for that process is really important. And if we're strict with one thing with the students is that we really like it when people work.
Yes, that's the reward for us.
I don't like to give a class that's like ha ha ha. It's not like our classes are not.
We're not going.
Clubs.
Yes. Even if you get to know us, we could be really funny and there can be jokes and relaxed and stuff.
Class time is work. Yeah, you work. Yeah, and sometimes we had classes in New York. We had one class actually that didn't work, and we actually dismissed the whole class. We refunded all their money, and we said this is not going to work. Because you're not the right students for us, and we're not the right
teachers for you. And again, and for us, this is our business and our job. Economically, that creates also an impact. If you tell all the students that they sign up for the entire month, sorry guys, we're going to return the money. This doesn't work for us. Doesn't work for you. I think it's like how you see us is how we are.
Like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm sorry, it's like I'm not the type of guy that is gonna go to a festival and start looking for who's the organizer and I can ask her to dance. Which for some people that might work, and that's their way of getting work. For me, it's not. It's like for me, it's my work. We put a lot of time into our rehearsal, to study, to think about things, to see how they work, and on the end, it's like they're gonna hire me because they like what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other people do, but for us, our product is really important. And we take our rehearsal time really seriously. We didn't have an opportunity to rehearse.
For many years.
We lived in the US, and we really felt that part was missing for us, that we were really good teachers, but we didn't have anything to show for it with our dancing. And we knew that we could do a lot better. And so we knew that was an area that we needed to improve.
Yeah.
And I think, a big part of this is really Ivan's attitude and his search for perfection, which isn't, he looks for perfection, but I look at it more as a search for betterment.
Yeah, to be better.
To be better, because we know we have room to improve, and we know that we can improve in everything. We can improve in our teaching, we can improve in our dancing, we can improve in our communication.
And we still improve, and we don't think we have
try to learn as much as possible all the time. But it's because we really believe, really honestly believe that you materialize what you do. If I invest in my work, things will materialize to fulfill that expectation. I can't have an expectation of a result. I can only have faith in the process. I don't know. Having no expectations is really liberating. Yeah. And not thinking, and it's really hard, especially in Europe, because sometimes you go to festivals and there are red velvet ropes and carpets and people who treat you like you're some incarnation of some deity because you can do it in rosque. And as much as I appreciate that, because I feel like to some extent it's protecting of the artist.
Yeah, and they're appreciating your work.
Appreciating you and taking care of you. That's really, really great. On the other hand, I can't take it seriously for myself. Because my job doesn't save people's lives. I'm not, saving the earth from climate change. Yes, we affect people.
But you said the story of that guy that transformed.
Yes, but
so
it's because he did the work.
Yes.
It's not me.
Us is only like we provide the information and we guide you a little
we're
bit.
like the toolbox. Like we're like, here are your tools. Do you want to work on it? Great.
Oh,
You
work.
don't want to work on it? Okay.
There's nothing you can do.
It's their work. It's not our work. And so, I don't know. Not.
I mean, we're not
thinking-
complaining about it. We like the appreciation and the
Yeah,
velvet
it's wonderful
rope and all of
because you
that.
feel like, wow, somebody is recognizing all of this hours and hours and hours of effort I put in every single day, and all the thought and all the staying up late at night and like trying to figure out how to teach this class that's going to be the best for the student, and
Yes.
try to work on this performance and figuring out this music that I want to use and all that. Yeah, they appreciate the effort. But on the other hand, we're dancers. So
And as much as we're dancers, it's hard to say, oh, we're just dancers, and it seems like that is not important. It's just like if you look at it in a general and in the
the
world.
grand scheme of things,
Yes. Then it's like it's one thing.
just one aspect of expressing yourself. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.